All right. Welcome, everybody. Again, thank you for joining us for our MS in Finance information session. Today's session is going to be kind of a comprehensive look at the MS Finance program at Simon Business School, including an in-depth dive into the curriculum and then also some of the resources that you have available to you as a student. Wanted to very briefly talk about an overview for our session today. We're going to start out with some brief introductions, and then we're going to go into a dive on the curriculum. We have our Academic Faculty Director, Professor Dan Burnside, with us today to talk about some of the upcoming changes to the finance curriculum, which is a new development. We're also going to talk about the student experience from our colleagues over at the Office of Student Engagement. And then we're going to round everything out with our colleagues from the Benet Career Management Center to talk about some career support and career resources as a student. And then at the very end, we'll have some next steps in Q&A, and we'll allow some questions. We appreciate those that submitted questions in advance. And then what you'll notice during this session, just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. You'll notice that you have access to a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So this is going to be a way to send in questions to the presenters. However, what we would ask is that you please try to keep the questions as on topic as possible and try to avoid things that are very specific to your circumstances or your profile. Unfortunately, those are not questions we'll be able to get to in this particular session, but we do invite you to connect with the admissions office offline and submit your questions there, and we can continue the conversation. So without further ado, we'd like to go ahead and introduce all the panelists today. So currently speaking, this is Matt McCormick. I'm Associate Director of MS Admissions at Simon Business School, and I work primarily with MS Finance candidates from really the point where you're kind of interested in Simon all the way through the admissions process and enrollment process and arriving on campus. I'm very happy to have you here today, and I'll go ahead and hand it off to my colleague, Melissa, to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. I am Melissa O'Neill, one of the Masters of Finance career advisors at the Benet Career Management Center.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lydia Ma. I am from the Ainslie Office of Student Engagement, and I am the academic advisor for MS Finance students.
Hi, this is Dan Burnside. I'm the faculty director of the MSF program, and I've been teaching here at Simon for, I think it's the 23rd year.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sofia Shmihlik, and I'm a current MS in Finance student graduating this December.
Great. Thank you, everyone. And so first up, we're going to go ahead and hand it over to Professor Dan Burnside for an in-depth look at the MSF curriculum. Professor Burnside, the floor is yours.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matt. So let me spend a few minutes here at the beginning to give you some overview of some points of the curriculum. I won't get into a lot of detail because that would take more time than we have, but let me hit some of the high points. Okay. So first, just some things about the philosophy of the program and some of the features that are there that I want to concentrate on. First of all, the program is an analytic program. It's STEM designated. Most of you probably already know that because it's one of the attractions for the program. It has, in addition to the advantages of the training itself, it also has some visa and residency advantages, which I'm going to let my colleagues discuss because I'm not an expert on that. But so that's one of the advantages of the program. The program is, I will call it a high breadth program. That is to say, we cover a lot of subjects, and I make the distinction between a Master of Science in Finance and a Master of Financial Engineering, which some of you might be thinking about doing. Master of Finance and Engineering tends to be more quantitative, more programming intensive, and tends to cover fewer subjects more deeply. Those are great programs. It depends on what your career goals are, which one you would like. But I would say the MSF program is more like an MBA. It's more like the best parts of an MBA that takes 2 years compressed into a year. Now, one of the features we have this year that we're really excited about, because this is the first year we're rolling it out, is we're providing a choice of doing the program with 3 concentrations. Okay, so these are concentrations or tracks, if you want to call them that end up on the diploma. Okay, And we find that students tend to kind of self-segregate or self-select into kind of one of three areas of study. So we decided to design some courses and core and elective classes around that to, well, try to concentrate their education in those areas. So we have what we would call a capital markets track, which we call investment management and financial analysis. And that's about people who want to work in the capital markets, okay, in all the various parts of that ecosystem. Okay? And then there's a corporate finance and strategy concentration, which is probably an education that's probably appropriate for the largest number of you or the greatest percentage of you, because in fact, most of the jobs out there are corporate jobs. And then we have the fintech or financial tech and innovation, and that's where we get into the newer subjects of blockchain and artificial intelligence and some related issues. Some of these, some of the aspects of the concentrations will be clear when I show you some of the examples of some of the classes that we have, which will be coming up. And then finally, there's some exposure to the computer programming language Python. Okay, the purpose of this program is, and the use of the Python is not to make you a software engineer, because there are programs that do that exclusively. But we're trying to expose you to both computer programming in general and also Python specifically as a popular programming language in the finance industry. It's far and away the most popular programming language that's actually used in finance for people who have jobs where programming is involved, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down in popularity there. So I'll show you in the curriculum how we work on the Python. So Matt, give me another slide there. Okay, so there's a few decisions or decision points that you as a student have. Otherwise, we design the program for you. We tell you what courses to take. So one big decision you make right at the front end is whether or not you're going to be in the shorter non-internship track or the longer internship track. And I'll discuss just a little bit about that later. You will have a choice of the concentration, one of those three concentrations, as I just discussed. And then there's some electives that you have to choose to go with those. You'll see that when I show you some of the classes. And then there's a project that's a capstone activity, which has a lot of student autonomy. You can really it's very flexible what topic you work on and what specific project you do. So that's another decision that you have in the program. Okay, Matt, next one. Okay, so a little bit about the two tracks, right? The internship track, which I'm calling IT here, is the program that extends the curriculum into the following fall term. Okay, so you would be here in the fall and the spring, and then after the next summer, you would come back to the fall just for a single course. Okay, so because it spreads out the classes a little bit, the pace is a little lower, not a lot, but it's a little lower because you're taking one class out and you get to take that at a different time. And the main reason students are attracted to this is that it has advantages with regard to your visa and residency and work in the United States. Basically, the clock on your post-graduation residency doesn't start ticking until you're actually graduated. So we push off the graduation to give you a few more months. And a closely related point is that it's the most popular choice for the students, the internship track, and I think that's mostly because of that residency advantage that I just mentioned. So I think usually between 80 and 85% of the students choose that. It's also overwhelmingly the choice for international students, but some domestic students choose that as well. Okay, so that's enough about that. Let's go to the next one, Matt. Okay, so what do you have to do to get one of the three concentrations? Well, you have to do two things. You have to take two classes in what we call Spring A, and I'll talk about the schedule a little bit in a moment. And so those are required for the concentration, so we call them core classes. And then the following academic term, Spring B, you'll take two electives that are qualified for that concentration. So you have some choices among some options, which I'll show you. I'll show you in a few slides. Next slide, Matt. Okay, so the way the schedule is laid out at the very highest level is that there's a sequence of fall, spring, summer, fall. Okay, if you're in the internship track, okay, you will be here for these two terms, and if you're not in the internship track, those don't apply to you, and everything's here, and you just graduate at the end of spring 2026. And we refer to the academic terms as minis, meaning mini semester, and they're 7 weeks long, and we call them A and B. You'll see that on a grid of the classwork here coming up starting on the next slide. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so in the fall of 2025, which is when you would be starting, okay, there are two of those mini semesters that I mentioned. We call them A and B. You can see them there. They're lined up chronologically. And all the classes that you see here are required. So there's no flexibility, there's no choices. So you don't have to make any choices right away, which is nice. And basically, these are the foundational subjects that you need in order to do the more advanced stuff later in the program, right? So you will learn the basic statistics and machine learning and AI and Python that you need to get started in one class, GPA 462. You will get your first exposure to financial economics in Finance 462. Okay, you'll get your first introduction to accounting in Accounting 401. Okay, so those are all basic classes that don't require any prerequisite knowledge. They're designed for people who are seeing the material for the first time. Okay, and you'll also take just a half credit course. It's not as intense as these other three courses. Just an introduction to Python specifically. It just meets once a week over the term. It's just to kind of get you going so that when you start in fall B, you have some exposure to the not just the programming language, but you kind of have your computer set up correctly and you know how to do the logistics of running a program and so on. Right? Okay, so after the fall A is done and we move to fall B, we can see we start to build on the things we learned in A. So A are prerequisites for B, right? So finance is now broken up into what we call the capital markets side and the corporate finance side, which is how we think of the two parts of finance, right? And you need basic finance to be able to do both of those things. And you also need the accounting. So you can see how there's a dependency of prerequisites building up here, right? And then when we get to Finance 424, that's your derivatives class. Sometimes courses like that are called options and futures or derivatives, but that's where you learn the math, basically, of how derivatives are priced and how they're related to underlying assets and what they're used for in business, right? Now, throughout the 2 7-week terms, there's one long 2 mini sequence of management communication, which is very important in business. I can't say enough about how important it is because the reality is that all the technical knowledge in the world just gets you in the door for a lot of jobs, but your performance at work and the way your colleagues and more importantly your boss thinks about how you're doing comes down to what we call the soft skills. about interacting with the other people and communicating with them, and that's what we focus on in the MGC course. So that's very important material there, and hopefully it'll inspire you to have a lifelong interest in that, because it's not something that you master in 14 weeks. Business people spend their entire careers getting better and better at that, and it has a high payoff. So I encourage you to spend the time on that. Okay, Matt, let's go to spring. Okay, in the spring it gets a little more complicated because now we have some options because of the concentrations, and they're color coded here, right? So we had the 3 concentrations I mentioned before: the capital markets or investment management, the corporate finance, and then the fintech. Okay, and each one of those sequences, or each one of those concentrations, has their own core and elective coursework, right? So in the first part of the spring, okay, here, you take the courses that are required for the concentration. So, for example, to do the investment management sequence, you have to take our quantitative investment class. You have to take our fixed income class. Okay, but then in the spring B, you get to choose 2 of these electives. You could take a course that I teach on investment management, or you can do more accounting with a very in-depth valuation class, which we call applied financial statement analysis, for example. I'm not going to go through each of these, and you probably wouldn't remember if I did anyway, but hopefully you get the idea there of the core and the elective sequence, right? Now, this is a brand new innovation in our program, and we hope that we have some edge here. This program has a history of being early adopters in all kinds of innovations. We were very early on in STEM, for example, but now a lot of our competitor schools have STEM, and now we're trying to put in the concentrations, which isn't that common. And the point I want to make is that some of these things may be adjusted by the time you get here. We might have, probably will have additional elective options in fintech. We might swap out a class for another class. You might see that the courses have slightly different titles if we decide to change the material a little bit. But basically, it's going to look like what you see in front of you. Okay, there'll be 2 courses that are required, 2 courses that are elective, and that's how we do the concentration. Okay, so before I leave this, let me just say that while you're in the spring taking your concentration classes, you'll also be doing the capstone project for the MSF. All the MS programs that we have a capstone project, and that's a 14-week or 2-term or 2-mini project that goes throughout the entire spring. And this project is not directly constrained by the concentration that you're in. You can do a project on whatever you and your teammates decide to do it on, and I'll elaborate on that in subsequent slides. So why don't we go to those slides, Matt? Okay, there you go. Oh, one more. So if you're doing the internship track, then there'll be some stuff for you to do after the spring. Not a lot. There's just one class that you will come back and take in the fall. Okay, and that's a really handy spreadsheet modeling class. That's a basic core business skill. If you want to impress people in a job, you want to show them that you know how to do spreadsheet modeling really, really well, because it's not that common a skill, and it's very, very handy. And basically, every business person has Excel on their computer. It's like one thing you can count on. And if you have skills with that, you'll almost certainly get a payoff at your job. Right? Okay, so if you are not on the internship track, this course will be done during the spring with your other classes. So it'll be a little more intense. Okay. So, but we have about 15% of our students do it that way. You can do it either way. The advantage, as I said before, is mostly not a curricular advantage. It's mostly a visa and residency advantage. By doing it in the internship timing, you remain a student longer, and you probably understand that it allows you to stay in the United States longer if that's your goal. And then if you're on the internship track, appropriately enough, our expectation is that you will do an internship in that summer before you finish. Okay. Now, this isn't really strictly a curriculum point, so I don't want to go on too long about it, but there are certain requirements about your presence here physically to do this course, which I'm not going to get into right now, but basically you can't just phone this in. There are requirements that the U.S. government puts on us to actually have you present here for some of the time. Okay, so you might have someone else explaining to you when you have to be here and so forth, and I will defer to my colleagues on that discussion. Okay, Matt, let's go to the next one. All right, so let me elaborate on that project course activity. Right, it's not really a course; it's more project. Okay, so it's not really a lecture-based course like your other projects, your other courses. So what is it? It's a student-chosen team-based project. So you work in a team, and you decide what to work on. And if it's finance, it's acceptable. Okay? If it falls in that huge umbrella of finance, you can work on it. So we've had many projects over the years. I couldn't list them all, and it would take too much time to do it, but I just want to give you an idea of what kind of topic areas people work on. There have been a lot of interesting projects on cyber currencies like Bitcoin and so on. There have been a lot of projects on ESG, environmental social governance investing, which is a very hot area of finance now and shows no signs of slowing down. We've had a very large number of projects on investment or trading strategies of various kinds, how to beat the market doing this or doing that. Some of them have been very impressive. Been a lot of corporate finance projects, a lot of projects on economic things in, let's say, non-US emerging markets. Okay, this is just a sampling of some of the topic areas that students have worked on, and as I said before, I couldn't even list all the different things that students have worked on. But basically, if it's finance and you're interested in it, and we can come up with a way to deliver all the required deliverables of the project, then you can do a project on it. Okay, so you can design the project to fit your career goals. That's really the point. That's why the flexibility is there. Let's go to the next one, Matt. So let me show you what I consider to be like the real purpose of the capstone project. Okay, the real purpose is so that you can write your project on your resume. Okay, this is an actual resume. I didn't make this up to illustrate this. This is from an actual student a few years ago. And I just want to show you that this student put the name of the project right up at the top of the resume, and it was a good project, and it's a great title too. It's important to have good titles so that in interviews people will ask you about it. So why do you put it on your resume like that? It's so that you can support conversations about your project in interview situations, right? It's very easy to talk about projects in interviews, and interviewers like to talk about projects because they're special to you. They're not just what everybody did, because different students have different projects, and they show things that coursework doesn't show, and they're things that businesses and employers are very interested in. They're interested in initiative and they're interested in problem solving. They're interested in the communication skills of describing a project origin and work and deliverables, right? And a lot of employers think with some justification that most coursework is weak on many of those dimensions. And so taking all those things together, potential employers like to talk about projects. And it gives you a nice, easy thing to talk about in an interview. So I know a student's had a good interview when I ask them about it later and they say, oh, I talked about the project like the entire time. If they say that, I know it was a great interview, because interviewers won't let you talk about something unless they want it. They want you to keep going. So this is my ultimate goal for the projects, is that you can have a resume that looks like this. Okay, Matt, I think we might be coming to an end. What do we got next?
Yep, I believe next up is going to be handing it over to.
So that's all I wanted to say about the curriculum. I'm here. My colleagues are here. Ask questions. Send us an email. We'd be glad to help you out. We couldn't touch on all the details of the curriculum. We'd be here for several hours, and you probably wouldn't remember all the details anyway. So this was just meant to be a broad overview. Thanks for your attention.
Great. Thank you very much, Professor Burnside. I'll go ahead and hand over to Lydia next to talk about resources within our Office of Student Engagement.
Thanks very much, Matt. Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Lydia Ma. I work at the Ainslie Office of Student Engagement, and Professor Burnside did a great job of giving you an overview of your coursework. And, that's probably the primary purpose of you being interested in the MS Finance degree. But here at Simon Business School, there is so much more to the school than just your coursework. And we are here to help you, to support you through your whole student journey. Your student experience here is really important to us, and we're here to help you to enhance it through a variety of activities and supports that we have. So we have 3 main teams in the Office of Student Engagement, and Matt, maybe we can go to the next slide. I'll start going into them in detail. So the first one is my team, the academic advising team. We're really here to help you primarily with your course selection, but we're also very mindful that it is a very different experience going from your undergraduate degree, especially if you've completed it in a different country or in a different school. Transitioning to Simon Business School is very different. Professor Burnside kind of showed you all of our mini terms and that sort of thing. So it's a very different pace, and the level of sophistication you'll get into in your coursework might be a significant adjustment for some of you. So we're here to help you with academic support to navigate all of the academic resources that we have. So you're not alone. Even if you're struggling with your coursework, there are plenty of people here at Simon and at the University of Rochester that can help you through that. Important part of attending business school is also gaining skills and working in teams. So, when you graduate with this degree, not only will employers expect you to have a lot of great knowledge about the finance world and the financial industry, but there are certain skills that they'll also expect you to have. And one big thing here at Simon is working in teams, being able to problem solve, to communicate, to maximize each other's strengths, and being able to speak about that will be a huge asset for you. It's not always the easiest thing, of course. Everyone has different working styles. So the academic advising team is here to help you if you run into any issues or if you need any suggestions about how to really enhance your teamwork. Next is our student life team. So outside of, Matt, can we go to the next slide? So our student life team is here to help you because, again, business school is so much more than your coursework. There's a lot of different programming that's available to you to really enhance your experience at business school. So they do programming throughout your time at Simon, from orientation, from when you first get here before you start your classes, making sure you know what to expect and get off to a great start, all the way until commencement week, where we get to celebrate all of your achievements and you all get to walk across that stage and receive your diploma or participate in those commencement week activities. Our student life team also supports our student clubs. So here at Simon, we have about 30 clubs, and they are a mix of professional, diversity, and social. So our professional clubs are really focused on different industries that you might be interested in working in. The clubs do a lot of programming, such as alumni panels. Some of them will organize trips to other cities so that you can go on corporate site visits and that sort of thing. So you don't only have to join clubs that are related to finance. If you're interested in another industry, we have a Simon Life Sciences Club, we have a Data Analytics Club. Those are open to everyone. It's not limited to your major. And it's a great way for you to network and meet students in other programs and also alumni in other industries as well. For our diversity clubs, those are clubs that are kind of focused on different affinity groups to celebrate different cultures. And for a lot of our international students, it's really nice to have the opportunity to bond with students from their home country as well. We also have, we partner with these clubs to do various events to celebrate different events that students would celebrate at home. So we have a big Diwali celebration and a Lunar New Year's celebration as well. For our social clubs, again, we're not just all about academics. We're also about pursuing interests in other areas as well. So we have an outdoor adventure club. They just went whitewater rafting last weekend. We have a gaming club as well. So they will do like chess tournaments, different like Squid Game simulation sort of thing. And then we also have an Uncorked club that's really popular. So one of our staff here at Simon is a little bit of a sommelier. So he will teach you how to, network and work in a corporate setting with wine that's there and how to pick a bottle, how to have a conversation about it. And it's a really great networking opportunity that you'll definitely use in the corporate world here in the United States. The student life team also organizes networking and social events. So even if you don't want to join a club, there's plenty of things for you to do outside of academics. It's a great way, again, to meet people and to really round out your experience here at Simon. Matt, I'll move on to the next slide to talk about our experiential learning team. So outside of your coursework, experiential learning is a great opportunity for you to actually apply what you're learning in your classes. So our Master's Advisory Council is one example of that. They are a group of MS students that represent their class, and they work directly with staff and faculty to advocate for their class, for changes to programs, for different events that they want to hold that they think will enhance the student experience. Each of the clubs and organizations also has boards that lead the group in programming and the type of direction the board wants to go in. And there are MS leadership positions available on each club or organization. Another crucial part of business school is case competitions. So this is an opportunity for you to participate in receiving a problem and actually trying to solve it. You'll be competing against students at other business schools, and it's a great opportunity not just to build your skills, but to have stories to tell when it comes time to interview. It's also a great networking opportunity. A lot of the times the judges will come from the corporate world, and it is a really great conversation starter for them to be able to see what you're capable of doing and be able to reach out to them after as well, especially if you put forward a potential solution that they really resonate with. Professor Burnside has talked a little bit about project courses already. So the last bullet on experiential opportunities. So in addition to those professional clubs that I talked about, there are also clubs that are specifically related to experiential learning. So we have the Meliora Fund, the Venture Fund, and Simon Vision Consulting. So the Meliora Fund is composed of MBA and MS students that actually invest University of Rochester funds, and they're able to invest it in the market and actually grow their portfolio. So it's a great opportunity to try portfolio management. For the Venture Fund, they work on deals and they invest in local startups, and they have the opportunity to participate in due diligence analysis and that sort of thing. And Simon Vision Consulting, they also work with local businesses and provide consulting services, so different ways to improve the businesses in the community. In addition to all of these, we also want to give back to the community. So our Simon Volunteers Club, they do programs for the local public schools in the local communities. They volunteer to help out, to clean up. We do something called Secret Santa here at Simon, where we raise money and then we buy Christmas presents for some local children here as well. Our Net Impact Club, they really are focused on the environmental impact and reducing it. So in any way that we could do that, they do clothing drives and that sort of thing, again, to help out the local community and be mindful of what we're doing here at Simon. I think that's everything for the Ainslie Office of Student Engagement. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, but I think I'm going to turn it over to Melissa.
All right. Thank you, Lydia. Melissa, go ahead and head over to you.
All right, great. Thank you. So again, my name is Melissa O'Neill. I'm one of 2 Masters of Finance career advisors. And we know that when you come to business school, one of your main objectives is to graduate with your degree, but a close second on your mind is your career journey and meeting your career goals. So our primary goal at the Benet Career Management Center is to support you throughout your career journey. We work closely with you to help develop a clear and focused career plan, and we tailor that to your specific career goals. So our team offers a wide range of services and tools to make sure that you're fully prepared to enter the job market, that you feel confident, some of which you can see here listed on this slide. I'm going to touch on a few of those. One is our onboarding program. So before you even get to campus, we'll kick things off with a virtual onboarding program. This includes 4 modules that are designed to help you build a strong foundation of knowledge so that when you arrive to campus, you're already ahead of the game. So we use a tool called VMOC, where you will upload your most up-to-date resume, and you'll receive initial feedback from your dedicated career advisor right from the comfort of your own home. You'll also complete a career leader assessment, which will give you insights into interests, your motivators, your skills, and it's designed to help you explore potential career paths, kind of get you thinking again before you even step on campus. And then when you get into one of your first advising appointments, we can take a look at that. What is that saying? And really talk and explore, different career paths that might be a good match. Once you're here, in the first few weeks, you'll take part in a 4-part career education series. It's designed to lay a foundation of career search best practices. In these workshops, we'll explore things like, what are careers in finance? What's available to you? Where do our students go after graduation? We touch on things like finding the right fit. We help you develop your pitch and what is your personal brand. So when you go to market, you're really certain about that, as well as networking best practices. And then throughout the year, we offer a wide range of workshops and webinars to help you build critical job search, interviewing, and networking skills. Some examples of the workshops we've done are developing a target list, small talk, and again, networking best practices, writing effective cover letters. We just did a really popular workshop on navigating the U.S. job market for our international students. They're really great tools throughout the year. You can opt in and out based on what you need. There's also opportunities to attend company info sessions, as well as alumni events. We are very proud of our robust alumni community. They're very engaged with our students, sharing helpful insights on their career journeys, market insights, company information, and more. And then last but not least, one of the greatest benefits of our office is the one-on-one advising. you'll have your own dedicated career advisor, and we'll work together to create a personalized job search and networking strategies specifically tailored to your needs. Advising is available as often as you need it. And since everyone's journey is different, your advisor will meet you where you are, help keep you on track with your recruiting efforts, and we'll make sure that you stay accountable with things as your year gets busy. So basically, we're just here for whatever you need as far as your career journey. And next slide. This is our career advising support model. As you can see, it's cyclical. So when you come to campus, you will likely be in the applicant mode. We'll be exploring, assessing fit, again, understanding what your brand is, what are your short and long-term goals. We'll be talking about companies and options for career pathing. Once you get really defined on what that looks like, then we'll help you tailor your materials like resumes, cover letters, your LinkedIn profile to reflect your brand, and to help you kind of get your foot in the door with your job applications. We'll help with interview preparation, both behavioral-based, case and technical interviewing skills. And we're also here to help you through the whole salary negotiation and benefit review. And then you'll see in the middle, throughout the whole process, in the U.S. job market, it's important to always be thinking about networking. And so that will be part of your journey throughout the whole process. And next slide. And, the detail is in the data. This is just a little snapshot of some of our Masters of Finance career outcomes, hoping to give you an idea of, the industry breakdown as to where students do land opportunities, some of the sample hiring companies, sample job titles, as well as salary data and graduation employment rates. And I think that's all I've got at this point in time.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Melissa. And thank you also to Lydia and Professor Burnside. Wanted to just sort of wrap things up here with a little bit of information regarding some of our upcoming application deadlines. So you'll see we are still firmly planted in round one, and I know that we've had quite a few applications coming in. You'll see on this slide that there are 3 columns that indicate the round parameters in terms of start date and end date, and then you'll have a deadline. So in this case, October 15th for our first round. And then what you see in the far right column is a decision notification date. So depending on the round that you apply in, you will get a decision no later than the date that is in the far right column. Each of our rounds run a few weeks, couple months, and we would strongly encourage candidates to consider applying in the earliest round that they feel comfortable that they can put their best foot forward. That is something that you'll hear reiterated in other webinars too. Also, we did have a question I know that came in about an application fee waiver. If you are attending this session live and you registered using an email address that you use that same email address for your application account, we will match it up in our system, and it will indeed bypass the payment screen. So there's no code or anything you have to enter. If you're live on this session today, you will be receiving an application fee waiver, which should be processed within the next couple of days prior to submitting your application. If you have any issues with that, you're always welcome to connect with the admissions office outside. Now, I just wanted to put in one final port here. We have a QR code here for a Connect landing page. We're always open to talk with any prospective students that may be interested or have questions about their own individual profile. Again, I did see some questions coming in here, and it's not, unfortunately, something we can go into on a webinar about everybody's individual circumstances, but we do want to have that conversation with you, and we invite you to reach out to us separately, and we can set up a time to chat and go through any questions or concerns that you may have about the next steps of the application process. So at this time, we're running a little bit short on time here, but we do have time for a couple of questions. And I did see some that came in, so I appreciate everyone who submitted questions during the presentation. We really appreciate it. One of the ones I wanted to start with is going to be, we a lot of times get questions about, I know this would be to Professor Burnside. I know that we get a lot of questions about the CFA, and I know it's a very large topic to cover. But I was wondering if you had any insights just about, a student who might be looking at this program, interested in the CFA, and any highlights that they might consider where they are right now.
Yeah, this isn't a tightly CFA affiliated program. So there are some academic programs that actually prepare you mechanically for the CFA. If you're interested in the CFA, send me an email, and I have a whole set of information about it that I'll connect you with. In the interest of time, that's probably the best thing I could answer right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. The next question I wanted to ask, and this I'll direct this one to Melissa. So we had a question that came in about a candidate who might be looking at this program who perhaps doesn't have any direct background in finance. And I know from an admissions standpoint, there's not really any prerequisite that you necessarily have to have a direct background in finance, but wanted to hear your perspective from the career preparation standpoint, if you had somebody that was looking at entering this program and what they might want to think about right now as they're considering the finance as the next step.
Sure. Yeah. We work with a lot of students who come in with little to no finance background. As Lydia had mentioned in her portion of the presentation, we do have a lot of experiential learning opportunities that our students can get involved in. So when I'm working with the student, I do highly encourage that they get involved in the clubs, in the case competitions, in any project work, because those opportunities are great experiences that both you can help to boost your resume, but also gives you some really nice learning experiences that we can turn into what we call star stories, just giving you kind of a one-on-one advising session at the moment to help you in your interviewing and your networking opportunities. So that's a really great way to boost some experience in finance, specifically to help boost your resume and make you, marketable with your peers. And then you also have a lifetime subscription to things like Wall Street Prep, where you can take some additional coursework, again, build your resume, get some of those additional skills that, again, we can translate to your resume as well as prepare you for interviews. So that's just a really quick snapshot. We have some other tools in our tool belt, but just for today, just some quick hits of things that you can do if you're coming with not a robust finance background.
Great. Thank you very much. I did see a number of questions. I can jump in on this. I do see some questions related to test scores and some other things in the application process. I would say that we have a number of webinars that really focus more on the application process and application tips, and those are really good if you want to attend one of those to really get more of an in-depth look at how all of this works. I will say, though, in a short sense, that we do have an MS class profile, and what it does is it gathers admission data from the last several years. This is all available right on the website, and it looks at any kind of, things in a kind of a range. So you'll see things showing the middle 80%. So this would be things like GPA, test score ranges, those types of things, and then also averages. And you'll get some idea of demographics too in this program. It's something that you'll see at Simon is that we do indeed have a very global presence from our students, and we had something like I think 20 or more different countries represented in our most recent incoming class. So it is quite a global experience studying at Simon Business School. Well, we are kind of coming to the end of our time, so I did want to take a moment again to thank everybody for their participation in this webinar, and those of you that joined us today. Special thanks to Professor Burnside, to Lydia, and also Melissa for their presentations as well. Unfortunately, Sophia had to jump off due to a time commitment, and we weren't able to hear from her today, but we will have actually admissions ambassadors that are beginning their training now and will be up here very soon. And they are current students in our program that are just entering right now, but will be made available to have conversations with you to hear more from the student perspective. So their contact information will be up on the website probably within the next month or so. And that's another tool that you can use to engage with us. But we would encourage you to stay connected with the admissions office. We're here to help you. We'd love to set up a conversation and learn more about your background and your goals as it relates to your academic and professional life. And we would also encourage you to continue to look out for other webinars that may be of interest to you. And we have a lot of great ones in store, but appreciate just one more time to thank all of our panelists, all of our attendees. A recording will be made available to everybody within the next couple of days. And so you can watch out for that. And then otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. Thank you very much again. And everybody, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.